Hello, everyone. I am Tyler Caldwell, and with me today is the Vice President of Sales for My Father Cigars, Mr. Jose Ortega. Really glad to have you here with us today. Always been a big fan of My Father Cigars. Honestly, the original blend, with the My Father logo on it, that was one of the first cigars I ever smoked, and this is going back, almost 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's,
'cause you're talking 2000. That brand was released in 2007. Towards the end, it was actually on the number. It was number 3 cigar of the year in 2008. So yeah,
Okay.
that's about right.
Very cool, very cool. And I would say probably the cigar that put you guys on the map would be the Flor de las Antillas. And that was the Toro was Cigar of the Year 2012, I believe.
Correct.
So
So I think, well, to talk a little bit about that. So first of all, Jose Ortega with My Father Cigars. For those of you who don't know who I am, also known as the Hurricane. To your point, 2012, the Flor de las Antillas, obviously, no one can deny, was a spectacular year. We had, the cigar did extremely well. Was number 1 cigar of the year, and that really just kind of blew up the company. And I think, not to take away from anybody else, but we're very much complimented by the store owners because we were able to stay on top of it and supply and with the supply and we made sure that the cigar was in every store. So a lot of people have gotten number ones and not been able to truly capitalize on it. I think that's one of the things that I gotta say kudos to the Garcia family, the Pepin and Jaime, for their job in Nicaragua and all of our employees in Nicaragua for doing a phenomenal job, right? Because I mean, listen, you go from selling average orders 2 or 3 boxes on this brand, and then the first phone call that I got right when it was announced that we were number 1 cigar of the year, it was a 500 box order for one store. You go, oh shit, what do I do, right? So anyway, but I like to think that truly the cigar that put the company on the map was actually, to your initial point, which is the My Father. That's the reason why the company's called My Father. People ask me that all the time. Says, well, where does the name My Father come from? It used to be El Rey de los Habanos, which is the king of the Habanos. But because of the success that cigar, now mind you, it was not at the success of Flor de las Antillas, obviously, right? But it was enough of a success that we looked at the name and said, hey, okay, talk about name recognition plus the meaning, and I'll go into detail of why My Father, because I think it's a beautiful story that everybody needs to know. So at that point, we decided to change the name of the company from El Rey de los Habanos to My Father Cigars, right? Because it was the number 3 cigar of the year, because it became a common name for people. Now, people ask me all the time, says, hey, why My Father? Where does that name come from, right? And the reason the name My Father came about, Jaime, so you got to go back to how they got here, right? So in 2001, they left Cuba. Jaime had made many attempts to leave Cuba and without any success. Always would get caught, sent back, the whole works. So Pepin, who had the ability, because of his status, because of where he was, because he was the master of masters, and he was invited to leave to Nicaragua to come and do some work at a factory there, and so he took advantage of that because he could leave, to help get Jaime out and everything, and the rest of the family. Prior to that, though, the first person to leave, and this is important to know, the first person to leave Cuba was Janny Garcia. I think she was 17 years old at the time. So kudos to her. I always like to mention that because you imagine being, regardless of male or female, being 17 years old and leaving your country and your family, because there's something better out there. And remember, she she didn't come here and walk into the situation that she has today. You know, she came in and had to work at gas stations and do this and do that, and to make things to be able to help bring them out. So I always like to clarify that because it was really Jenny who got it all started by leaving. But back to our story with the name my father. So when Pepin did this and helped to bring everybody out, and because of his knowledge and because of everything that he's done for the family, Jaime decided to create a brand in secret of Pepin to honor him, right? Because like Jaime will tell you, people tend to honor their family or their parents and so forth after they died.
Sure.
Well, they don't know how you felt. And Jaime wanted to express what he felt while Pepin was alive. So he created this brand. Now, this isn't the interesting part of that story is you got to remember that nothing ever leaves the factory that hasn't been approved by Pepin. So our hierarchy, if you will, is you have Pepin, you have Jaime, and you have Johnny. That's our trilogy, right? And the company. I'm the adopted child somewhere down here after that. Initial three, right? I'm the adopted child, but I always say the important one because I'm the one that generates the money for it. So, but when those three are deciding anything, it's a conversation between the three. But ultimately, Pepin being the patriarch, he has the final say on everything. So Jaime's making this blend, giving it to Pepin to try. Prior to that, all the blends were made by Pepin. So this is kind of the first true blend made by someone other than Pepin. And so he's giving it to Pepin to smoke. He's smoking it. He's liking it. He gets 8 or 9 different blends. That's the one that he likes. So everything's being done in secret. Moving forward, Pepin happens to be in Miami, and a package is received in the office in Miami because the artwork is being done by Alcides, Pepin's nephew, who's in Miami. And nobody was in the building. Here comes FedEx, brings this package, and he opens it up and he sees it, and there's all this beautiful artwork, this MF, and Pepin says, he calls Jaime and says, Jaime, what is this? He has no idea they're working on this. And so Jaime says, well, surprise. This is something that I'm doing, it's my father, in honor to you and so forth. So, kind of ruined the surprise a little bit, but I think back to that story and I tell Jaime, I says, that actually worked out even better.
Sure.
Because that really was a surprise, right? That wasn't expected, so it worked out. The year later, because Pepin was so moved by that, is why we now have my father, Le Bijou, which means the jewel, 1922, which is the birth year of Pepin's father, because he decided to honor his father, and as Pepin explains, that's why that's a stronger, fuller body, darker, because it's more representative of what Pepin's father was.
Sure,
right?
makes a lot of sense.
Strong guy who worked hard, and so it was more of a reflection of him. So, but that's how the whole name came about, how the brand was born, and the reason for why we are now called my father is because they just felt that it was a brand that was created to honor Pepin, and it was recognized by cigar aficionados. So here we are today.
That's very cool. This is why I love doing these kind of interview segments, because being a consumer for so many years, but also working in the business for so many years, I get to learn these kind of stories, and I love it because then I can relay them to customers, either in video format or in person when they're coming in and we start talking about my father's cigars or whichever brand we are interviewing with that day. But that's a very interesting story. I love that kind of stuff. So where does Ortega get into the mix? Like, how do you get involved?
2010, I meet the family. We're at a multi-vendor event up in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, and there's a barbecue, a grill, a barbecue that someone's put together, and I got invited. So thankful to the guys for the barbecue for liking me. Because thanks to them, I end up meeting the Garcias. So didn't really know much about the Garcias prior to that. I was with Puros Indio Cigars. For those of you guys who may reference to that brand, Puros Indios Rolando Reyes, another wonderful and master of cigar making. And in that barbecue, I end up meeting the Garcias, and we get to talking. Now, you will never see anything like this, but if you put Jaime and me together, and we're talking about tobacco, it's a beautiful thing.
Sure.
It really is. There's no end. I mean, the night can be 2 o'clock in the morning. We're still talking. So, and I'll tell you something Jenny says about that. But little did I know that they were interviewing me in our conversation. I was just having a conversation. I truly bonded with them. I liked them. I liked the humility. I liked the knowledge. So it was just a beautiful thing, right? They were asking me about sales. They were asking me about my perception of the market and stuff like that, the stuff that I know, and I'm asking them about tobacco, and I'm asking them about cigar making and so forth. So it was just a great night, right?
Awesome.
Some alcohol was involved. I gotta put that disclaimer in there. But anyway, so we got through with that, and our flight was at 6 o'clock in the morning, the next morning, out of Philly. And so, we are at the end of the night, we all part ways. Everybody goes on their own. So next morning, we meet up at the airport. We all have that same 6 o'clock flight in the morning. And I remember running into them and say, hey, great night, man. Truly thankful, appreciated the conversation, so forth. And Jaime tells me, as we're walking in, as we're getting into the plane, he goes, he tells the person that was sitting in the middle, it was Johnny, it was Jaime, and someone else. And then he tells someone else, he says, hey, trade seats with Jose. So we traded seats. Understand, I don't ever sit in the middle. I'm a big guy. I've accepted that, sure. And I never sit in the middle, ever. But I had really truly enjoyed the conversation a lot with these guys. So I said, no problem. I traded seats. So we sit down. Johnny, who obviously we're all dead, right? We got done the barbecue party and it finished at like 2 o'clock in the morning. We're all dead, and she just wants to go to sleep. And here, Jaime and I pick up where we left off last night in conversation. So the next 3 hours of flight, we're sitting there just talking tobacco and this and that, and my perception of sales and what I think about the reps and this and that and everything else. He's sharing with me his information, and I'm making an assessment of what's going on, what's happening, and Johnny says that's the most dreadful 2.5 hours of her life. But right after that, we parted ways. Hey, see you later. And then Jaime, she tells the story. She goes, Jaime said, you know that guy? She goes, yeah, I know. You want me to make him an offer? I'll call him. So, and I ended up getting a phone call. Believe it or not, I actually turned her down the first time. And I didn't even know she was calling me for that. She had in mind, but I was busy with something else. I said, listen, I can't make it. I appreciate it, but thank you. And kind of left it at that. And then she called me a second time, and then she says, listen, I'm trying to offer you a job. I go, okay, yeah.
Okay, now I have to
I'll make the time.
Okay.
I'll make the time. So I ended up meeting up with them. We had lunch, and that's that. Here we are.
History ever since.
14. That was in. I started July 1st of 2010 with the company. During my time there at that event, I ended up getting a water in my lungs. I got some sort of lung infection or something, and I ended up getting water in my lungs, and I couldn't smoke anything. And that must have been in April. So, and I was finally clear to smoke July 1st when I was actually starting to work with them. And so I walk in there, not really knowing their portfolio of cigars. And I remember walking in there, and Pepin is there to receive me, and he's happy to see me. We really bonded, so he's happy to see me. I'm the horse. I'm the horse that's going to take him to the next level, right? And so he's happy to see me. And I walk in, and he says, grab whatever you want. Grab whatever cigar you want. Now I haven't smoked a single cigar in, that part of 3 months or so. And what do I do as an idiot? Le Bijou Petit Robusto. Because I saw it and it was a little cigar and I go, man, I haven't smoked, I haven't smoked in 3 or 4 months. I need a little cigar. So I go grab the smallest cigar that I can find, and that's the little Le Bijou Petit Robusto.
With
That
the
little,
powerhouse.
of course, man, that little rocket beat the hell out of me. Oh, I can imagine Pepin's face when he saw me. I'm sitting there dying, but I'm trying to be a man. I'm manning up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Now I'm committed. I gotta just keep smoking. So, but yeah, man, that's how we came to be. My participation in my part as far as the growth of the company started in 2010. That's when I came on board. I inherited some of my sales guys. I think, and no disrespect to any other company out there, but I truly believe that I have the best sales team in this industry by far.
Sure.
And again, no disrespect to any of the guys or any of the thing. Everybody's out there doing their thing, but I think right now my team is a well-oiled machine. We're clear on what our mission is, and we're lucky that we have a factory that's making the best cigars that they know how. Pepin uses an expression that I truly love, and that is, Pepin says, "I'm not the best, but there's no one better." Think about that. Right? That's humility, but acknowledging the fact that you are doing everything possible to make sure that you're there. And he's right. He's not the best, but there is no one better than him.
So, we've gotten into a little bit of the history of the My Father brand. What does the future look like for the My Father brand?
That's a great question, and thank you. Listen, I'm very excited about the future of this company, right? And I share this with all of my reps. It's not often that someone starts a company, then here comes the next generation, takes it to the next level, and normally there's either no generation after that, or the generation after that has no interest whatsoever, and that's where the company dies, or that's where the future of the company dies. But in our case, we're now entering the third generation, right? So Pepin, Jaime, and now you have Jaime and Gianni, but now you have their children getting involved. Listen, Handy Garcia, Jaime's oldest son, right? That's Jaime's right hand right now. The way that we have grown, right? Not just Nicaragua. Nicaragua's anybody who's seen our operation in Nicaragua knows it's an impressive site. We have the capacity for 150,000 cigars a day. I mean, so the rolling is huge. Our packaging is huge. Our warehousing is, everything about it is huge. And now, because of the current situation, what's been going on, we've actually opened up in Honduras, or we're about to open up a new factory in Honduras.
Okay.
Which will be interesting, right? As a cigar smoker, you gotta love it, because you're gonna see some new blends coming out with some Honduras tobacco, Nicaraguan tobacco, the mix, and so forth. I mean, it's gonna be really interesting. But I'm excited about the future of this company, because I have Handy, and listen, I remember taking Handy on the road, a couple of years back, just to kind of teach them,
Sure.
because the Garcias are very good at making sure that everybody starts out at the bottom and work their way up, right? So all the kids are being told, you gotta, listen, Handy answering the phone as a receptionist. I had him calling people, he went out on the road with me and so forth. But he knows that his job, his role is the factory.
Okay.
He understood that. That's what he likes. And so therefore, I mean, you understand, he was born in Cuba, so, very different mindset. So that's what he likes. So sure enough, he's the one that's there learning from Pepin, learning from Jaime, as far as the operation, as far as the factory is concerned. I took him down. I took a group down not too long ago, and I remember the way we always did it when we took groups is I would go down and I'm translating for Jaime. Jaime's explaining things, I'm translating. Well, this past one that we did, Handy's like, shh.
I got this.
And then all of a sudden, Handy's translating. not only is he translating, but he's actually going through the whole thing, right? He's explaining everything. And I go over to Jaime, who's standing next to me, and we're smoking a cigar, and I said, Jaime, I said, I think we both lost our job on this one, right? The kid's doing both things by himself. And I put my hand out to him, and he shook my hand, and he says, what's up? I said, man, I just want to tell you how happy I am to see this, right? Because I think of him as my child. Jaime and I are the same age, you know what I mean? He's the same age as my son, and I said, I'm like a proud papa right now because, man, I mean, to see you have learned this much in such a short period of time, and I feel comfortable that you're going to be able to run this should Jaime not be able to run it, right? For whatever reason. I said, this is phenomenal. See, the company's secure. And then most recently, Janny's oldest son, who just graduated from Regis University, he's joined, right? And he's a good-looking kid, what have you. So he's coming into the sales aspect of it. Handy's doing that part. Joseph is going to be over here with me. So he's been hitting the road. He's in Germany right now, which is why he's not here with us. Otherwise, he'd be here. And I'd love to put him right here so that he could be real uncomfortable about the camera.
Next time.
Because he's learning. Yeah, next time he's going to be here. But so he's on board. So even from an operational point of view, from sales and so forth, the next generation is getting involved. So I think when the time comes and I'm ready to retire, I feel good that everything that we've done, everything that we've worked, because again, I'm part of the family and adopted part of the family, but nonetheless, I don't let them forget that. But I know that everything that we've worked to build, it's not going to just crumble, right? We're preparing the next group that's going to take it to the next level, and that's going to be exciting to see. I pray that I get to live long enough to see it. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be exciting.
Awesome. Well, I think it says a lot because, you guys have been around for, a handful of years now. You've been putting out, highly rated cigars, back to back. You've got so many other companies that you guys are making things for, Tatuaje, the Roma de Cupa, San Cristobal. Mm-hmm. Now you guys are working with Foundation. Mm-hmm. That's going to be interesting to see how that comes out in the future.
And I'm glad to see that because Nick's such a great guy too, so that should be an interesting partnership as well.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you, out of, you guys have such a vast portfolio, what would you say is your favorite and what would you say is the most underrated? Like, this is the one that people,
I got you. My favorite, Don Pepin Blue, hands down.
Ah,
Anybody who knows me, they know that is my cigar. I think it's probably the most balanced of all the cigars that we make. And when I say balanced, I mean strength-wise, it's not overly strong, but it's not weak. Remember, I smoke 4 or 5 cigars a day, so I need I need a cigar that's got some substance, right? As much as I like a good Connecticut early in the day, but with as many, if I get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I better have a cigar that stands out, or else I'm just smoking the smoke, right? So as far as, say, balance, very Cuban-esque, very tasty, very floral, very, just, to me, it works every aspect of it. Your palate, your flavor, but also the aroma is there, right? So I think it's just a phenomenal cigar. That being said, underrated, my friend, 100% the most underrated cigar that we have is called La Dueña.
I was going to
say it is a flavor bomb. Mm-hmm. It's like if you took a freaking Snickers bar and lit it on fire, right? But people look at the cameo on the band, and this is the one thing that I get the most, which people go, hey, that's a girly cigar. I go, whoa. First of all, I know a lot of girls that smoke stronger than you do, buddy, so tone that down real quick. But aside from that, they look at it, and a lot of people too, we might have failed a little bit on that. We didn't call it My Father La Dueña, right? We just called it La Dueña. It's tough. It's easier from a branding point of view when you have the umbrella My Father, and then everything else is labeled under it for people to reference. Hey, I like my father, so I'm willing to try this. So La Dueña kind of stands out on its own. So that I think may be a reason why. Sure. But I have seen a recent growth in the sales of La Dueña, and that's been because we put it in the sampler bags, the 5-pack.
Sure.
And by default, people buy the bag, and they're now forced to smoke that cigar. And all of a sudden, my sales have jumped. Not where I think they need to be, because again, I think it's very underrated. It's a great cigar, very tasty cigar, just a little powerhouse of a smoke. And especially if you go with like the little Petit Lancero.
No, the number
Oh
7.
my God, are you kidding me right now?
I can say.
Wait,
for sure.
we're gonna have to stop this interview and go grab one at this point.
I will say, with that perspective, with that, the number 7, that's one for us to. It's hard to keep in stock. Like that's the one. Like as soon as we get a reorder in, I'm already on the phone. Like, hey, I need some more.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to see that the sales and the recognition of La Dueña has been rising up. So, yeah, that would be my most favorite.
Yeah.
Especially that number 7. I'm a petite Lancero type of smoker normally. So, yeah, everyone out there, you need to grab one of those.
Listen, Lanceros as a whole. I mean, I travel quite a bit, as you know, and I walk into stores and, you see the Lancero guy here and there, but overall, right? And people I think there's a huge percentage of the cigar smokers that are missing out because they're not going after the Lanceros. They're not trying the Lanceros. Listen, not all Lanceros are great, but that's like anything else, right? Not every Toro is great.
Sure.
It really depends on the manufacturer. But when you have a company like my father's cigars that does extremely well at making Lanceros, not only for us, but for Tatuaje and so forth, you got to at least try them. The Don Pepin Blue Lancero is phenomenal. The My Father Lancero is phenomenal. The La Promesa Lancero.
I was going to say that one.
But you can't get any better than La Promesa Lancero. I mean, that's an amazing smoke. So
Flavor bomb all the way through.
100%. So if you guys are out there and you haven't tried a Lancero, I invite you to go grab a My Father Lancero of any of the Lanceros that we make, and I think it'll change your perception of Lanceros.
Very cool, man. Well, I gotta say, I've learned a lot about my father today, and I hope you guys have learned a lot about the brand and everything as well. Make sure you check out the nice selection of my father's cigars on smokingpipes.com, and hopefully we'll be finding some of your new favorite cigars.
Without a doubt. And sorry if I took too much time from yours, but I am long-winded, especially when I'm talking about something that I really enjoy and I'm very passionate about. And as you guys know, I'm very passionate about my father's cigars. I'm very passionate about the industry as a whole and cigars. And there's few hobbies that I have, as you can tell, right? I'm not in shape, so obviously I'm not doing too many sports or working out. Not doing any yoga anytime, but man, I'm very passionate about this. Smoking cigars is where I'm at. It's my hobby. I always tell people I don't just sell cigars, right? I'm a smoker first.
Yeah.
Right. So, and if I run into any of you out there, please stop me and ask me any questions that you have. Tell people that's what I'm here for. Right.
Awesome.
So.
Well, listen, and I appreciate you coming through today.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Catch you guys later.